Hello, welcome to week 3 of learning to read Hebrew. I'm just gonna start off with some really simple reading practice. Um, you'll want to practice this on your own before you listen to what I'm saying, or maybe later after you've listened to what I'm saying, uh, because this little section of reading practice, it helps with some of those commonly confused letters. We've got Dalet and Resh, and we've got Sadi and Ayin, um, just to kind of mix them up in here and help you keep track of which one is which. Um, and I also recommend that you take each of these words and copy the word and paste it into Google Translate to find out what the word means. Okay, so let's start. The first word, starting on the right side and moving from right to left, the first word is tsad. That's it. Tsadi and a dalid. Tsad. The next word is dug. The next word is dod. And then we have David. And then we have David. Notice the difference in the nikud on dod, David, and David. All right, the second line. Ad, ed, od, batzad, al yad. The third line. Do, ron, whoops, I wrote that one wrong. I better fix that. Hold on. Let me fix that live while you watch. Bonk. All right. Whoops. It would help if I was in Hebrew, wouldn't it? Bonk. There we go. Now it's fixed. Baruch. Baderech. Yored. Fourth line. Semach. Am. Im. Bachar. Asher. Einaim. Whoops, fifth line. Einaim. Ratza. Vetzivanu. Mitzvotav. Yatsa. Litziat. Mitzrayim. Kadesh. Now, I just want to point you out to this word right here, mitzvotav. Last week, we talked about some words that have that yud vav at the end, an and then the yud vav. And you don't say Ive, you just say av. So like achshav, or in this case, mitzvotav. I'll give you this one, even though I said you should look them up in the dictionary. But this one, as you'll remember from last week, we talked about the endings that are used in possessives. So you know what mitzvot are, commandments, and mitzvotav is his commandments. That av is his. All right, so that's the reading practice. And let's jump down here and do some textual reading and interpreting. You may want to go back and review the worksheets from the second week, lots of endings and one letter words. If you look at this sheet, the PDF version of this sheet that's in the student worksheets section, you can just click on these links and it should take you right to it. You can also find them in the week 2 folder inside of the student worksheets folder. So you're probably familiar with the ve'ahavta. We say it right after the Shema, or it's part of the Shema and its blessings, right? So we say Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. And then we start in with Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, B'chol levavcha, u'b'chol nafshecha, u'b'chol me'odecha. So that's this line right here. We've got some highlighted words that all have the same ending. It's a possessive ending, but who is the person who is possessing these things? What I mean by that is it uh, your Elohim? Is it my Elohim? Is it his Elohim? Is it her Elohim? Is it our Elohim? Is it their Elohim? Whose Elohim is it? Whose levav is it? Whose nefesh is it? And whose me'od is it? So look at those endings and check back on that page that says lots of endings and see what you find. I'm not going to give you the answer now. Next, let's look at Bereshit. So the word bara means created. What received the action of that verb? In other words, what are the direct objects of this sentence? So last week, we learned about a special word that's considered a preposition in Hebrew, but there's no translation for it in English. In English, we call it the direct object indicator, because we don't have anything like that in English. Do you remember what that word is? If you use that word as your hint, you should be able to figure out which of these words are the direct object, the thing that was created. Find those. All right, now in Bereshit 1:26, I find this to be one of those really fun verses where, depending on how you look at it, so you can either say that this is where the people who were redacting the text took a version over here and a version over here and smushed them together and didn't really do the work of fitting all the conjugations so that they all agreed properly. Or you could say that this was divine and intentional, that there should be some mix-up and confusion here. So right at the beginning of this verse, we have Vayomer Elohim. Vayomer means and said, right? And it's a third person masculine singular. So you could say, and he said. But in this case, we have exactly who said it. Elohim said it. So, and Elohim said, now what did Elohim say? So scooch forward a little bit to those red words, Bitsalmenu and Kidmutenu. So those endings, those are possessive endings we learned last week. Who's possessing those things? Why is this weird? So we haven't talked about verb conjugations yet, but I just want to point out that the word naaseh agrees with the number and person that are in those possessive endings, but not with the number and person that's in the first statement about who's talking. Why'd they mix that up? All right, so we're gonna explore a little bit more. Just jump into this text. So in the PDF for this, we have a bunch of roots and some translations to help you kind of get your head around the roots. These are roots of some of the words that are in these texts. Okay, I'm going to skip over in your thingy word in your PDF. You can click on the blue title and it'll give you a link and you can go directly to these texts. I've got the text open already, so I'm gonna just scoot over there like this. All right. So, whoops. Um, Last week I showed you how we can use the tools in Safaria to help us to dig down into individual words. So, let's take a look at the individual words within that line. So, ve'ahavta. We know that ve means and. That's one of those small words that we learned last week. But what is this ahavta? So, I double click on it and it says there's nothing. It doesn't know what that is. So, one thing we can do when it gives us that is we can highlight the word without the small word and see if it knows. It doesn't. So let's see if we can guess what the root is. I happen to know what the root is. It's Aleph Hey Bet. Let's see if it gives us an answer now. Ah, the root is Aleph Hey Bet, and we can see that it's to love. And then it gives a bunch of descriptions. I'll let you explore this on your own. So we can go through each of these words. Do you remember what et means? Et is the mark of the accusative. It's usually prefixed only to a definite noun. That's a very confusing way to say that it tells us that the next thing is the thing that's receiving the action of the verb, right? So, ve'ahavta, and you love God. And this et is telling us that Yud He Vav He is the one that's receiving the action of this love. And who is this Yud He Vav He? He is Elohecha. Well, it's not giving us what the definition is for Elohecha. What if I take just that part? Well, that is confusing. It has Ela. That's not it. I know that it's not about a curse. And I know that it's not about a lance or a fork. I must be looking at the wrong thing. Oh, down here, I've got Ele, E, Allah, Ela. Oh, all of these are God. I can also bring it down a little bit smaller. We know that the word Aleph Lamed is God. Elohecha is Elohim of yours. We drop off the mem at the end of Elohim and put in its place this possessive ending that says yours. All right. We learned last week about the word coal, or maybe it was the first week. We've learned already about the word coal, this special weird word that says oh but has the kamatz. It means all. And we know this word right here is that small word that means in. So what is levavcha? So we know that the cha part right there is yours, right? So let's go there and see what we get. Levav, double hearts, two of opposite inclination, a heart, with all thy heart. So you can explore this more deeply. There are different dictionaries here. And so each of these dictionaries will give you more insight. Each of the dictionaries uses different verses that it brings out to explain about the meaning. So we've got u b'chol, which remember u is the same thing as v, but just sometimes you have to say u instead of v because you don't want to say, for instance, v'chol. That would be weird and awkward. So we say uvachol. So and in all, nafshecha. Nafshecha. Well, just like levavcha, we don't get the that because it's got the cha at the end. But if we leave the cha off, what do we get? We get nefesh. Nefesh is breath and also soul and mind. It's your will, your desire, your breath. It's a great word. And v'chol, and in all, meodecha. So what's this? Me'od. Me'od. So me'od is increase. All of my increase? Also means strength, might, power. So you can kind of imagine this connection between something increasing and having power. You have to have power to increase something, or maybe the increasing is what gives you power. But there's a linkage here. You'll find, especially in the Jastrow Dictionary, right here it's kind of small, but right here it says Source Jastrow Dictionary. The Jastrow Dictionary will often just like dig you down into the sort of tiniest, oldest meaning of something. And there's a sort of joke about how all the words in Hebrew, if you follow them back far enough, they mean to connect. And that's not quite true, not all of them, but a lot of times there's this strange sort of line between its original meaning, like to increase, and how you get to strength. And being able to understand that and sort of dig into it helps you to sort of feel the feeling of what that word means in this context. So when I say bechol meodecha, I'm talking about all of my strength, all of my increasing strength. Like it just gives you a bit more of the flavor, something else that wasn't there before. If we just translate just directly, me'od being strength, right? All right. So let's move on to the next text. So up here, doop, in Genesis 1, the first word, I really wanted to do this text because this word in particular, Bereshit, I love it. So we know what is. It's that little word that means in. Reshit, before we even look any deeper to find out what it is, we can see Resh, Aleph, Shin. You may or may not remember what Resh, Aleph, Shin is. Like maybe if you write it for yourself on a piece of paper or in your notebook or whatever right now, you might look at it and you might recognize it from like Rosh Hashanah. That Rosh, the head. Bereshit means in the first, which we translate into English as in the beginning, right? But it's in the head of the thing. Reshit. First, beginning, best, chief. Beginning, first, chief, choice part. Yeah, and it comes from this root of Resh or Rosh. All right, so what happened in the beginning? Bara, create, shape, form, to shape or fashion. Always with God as the subject, of course. So, in the beginning, created, past tense. We know this, we'll find out a little bit later. We know this because this is in the simplest form of the pa'al binyan, which is the past tense masculine singular. Bara. Listen to the pattern. Pa'al, bara. It has the same pattern. So bara is created in this pa'al binyan, which is also known as the kal. Kal just means simple. I like pa'al better because it follows the pattern of all the other binyanim. You'll learn about that a little bit later. All right. Bara Elohim. So who created? God created. In the beginning, created God. Elohim is actually the subject here. Et Hashemayim. Et. There's that funky preposition, right? What does that funky preposition do? It's the sign of the direct object. It's gonna be the thing that receives the action of the verb. So it's the thing that's getting created. So Hashemayim gets created, and ve'et haaretz, and the aretz gets created. So what is the Shemayim? It's the heavens, the abode of the stars, all of the visible universe, the sky, the atmosphere, etc. It's also heaven, as in like the imaginary place where, you know, some bearded guy sits on a throne or something like that. But Shemaim is the sky, or the heavens. And Aretz, it's really interesting. When you click on Aretz, what comes up here is Adamah, which is ground and land. But only when you go further down, you get Eretz, which is land, earth, ground, the surface of the ground. So in the beginning, created God the heavens and the earth. And let's scoot down to the last text from this practice sheet. Vayomer Elohim naaseh Adam betzalmenu kidmutenu v'yirdu bidgat hayam uva'of hashemayim uva'behama uva'kol haaretz uva'kol haremes haromes al haaretz. All right, so this first one, Vayomer, Amar is to say or to speak. So this Vayomer is and spoke. Who spoke? Elohim spoke. What did Elohim say? So what did this one dude, right? This Vayomer, it's in the singular. It's in the singular. So what did God say? God said, Naaseh. Now I'm going to skip forward in the next little bit. So I'm going to show you right now something kind of cool. Now, you'll notice, I'm going to do some flipping back and forth. Here, it says asa is the verb in its simplest form, its kal form. But when I click over here and I put ayin, sin, hey, it says there's no options. So there's a weird thing with shorashim, with roots that end in hey, that the same thing can be a yud. I cannot explain why. This is a thing I need to learn about. I just happen to know that it's true. So sometimes when you think that the shoresh ends in a hey, just change that to a yud. Now, I'm going to have to take out the vowels. So let's try that. There we go. So now I've got ayin, sin, yud in kal, which is pa'al, right? Le'asot is the infinitive. And now let's look in the future tense. Right here it says na'aseh. Anachnu na'aseh. Anachnu is we. We will do. We will do. So flipping back to here, this says singular, he said, Elohim, which pretty much sounds like a plural, right? We will make, or we will do, Adam, Betsalmenu. Betsalmenu. That new there. Remember from our endings, that new is the hour, right? So Tselem is an image. So we're going to make this Adam in our image. Kidmuto, in like, dmut, likeness, enu, like our, the new, the enu at the end, like our, dmut, likeness. So singular, plural, singular, plural, singular, plural. All right, let's get to the rest of this. V'yodu, rada means to rule or have dominion over, to dominate, to tread down. Yipes. Vid, vidgat. That's a weird word. Vidgat. Dag is a fish. But interestingly, daga is also to multiply or increase. So that makes me think, wow, so the word for fish is also this word for increase. If you're a community that lives on the coast and eats lots of fish, it would make sense that fish would be connected with this idea of increase, right? So bidgat hayam. Ha. We know ha. Ha is that small word that means the, and yam is the sea. U, there's that short word that means and. Be'of. U, sorry, ve'of. But that bet is in. So u, ve'of. Off are flying creatures, fowl, insects, birds. The root of means to fly. So off is a creature that offs. We call like a bug a fly, but basically in Hebrew, the flying creatures, the fly is the birds. In modern Hebrew, we just call chicken off. So chicken and fly. Chickens are flies. So u va'of hashamayim. We know what that is again. That's the shamayim. Remember that word? We learned that one already when God created stuff. God created the heavens, right? So the flying things in the skies. U va, and in behema. Behema are beast, cattle, animal. The root of this word can also be made into a verb, which means to be beastly. U v'chol, and in all. Haaretz. Remember what aretz was? The land. So, and in all the land. And in all ha-remesh. What's remesh? To creep, to move lightly, to move about, to walk on all fours. So this as a noun is the creeping things. And then immediately we have the verb form, ha-romes. Sorry, I said remesh. It's not remesh, it's remes. Ha-remes. So all the creeping things, noun, that creep. Ha-romes. Al means on, And that's weird that it's coming up with like not the word. There we go. There's the word. Al, height, above, upwards, high. Al, the preposition, upon, above. Al, haaretz. And we know what haaretz means. What does it mean? Yes, that's right. The land. So, and singular said, plural God, we will make man in our image, like our likeness, and he'll have dominion. Oh, you're due. This you're due. Let's actually go a little bit deeper in this. Let me see if I can copy it. We're gonna sneak over to Google Translate. The year due. Whoops. Why are you not giving me? That's the wrong meaning. It's also to go down because Yarad, but this isn't from Yarad. This is from Rad, Rada. So, let us go this route. We'll go back to this other tool and let's see if it will let us. Nope, I'm gonna have to type it in without Nikud. Resh Dalid Hey. Resh Dalid Yud. There it is. So let's find Yirdu. Right there. Hem hen Yirdu. Hem hen, they will control, will dominate. So Adam, again, it's a singular, right? Man, person, creature made out of the earth. Adama is the earth, right? That God, Elohim, is gonna make in their image, like their likeness, and they, plural, will dominate the fish of the sea and the flying things in the sky and the beasts in all the land and all the crawling things that creep on the land. So it's not just Adam, it's held within the singular is the plural. So this verse has these different plays of the plural in the singular and the singular in the plural. What can we learn from that? If we assume that this was intentional and not a mistake of redaction, if we assume that there's a purpose behind this, and my answer to this is to go back to the Shema, right? Shema Yisrael, listen up, Israel. Yud He Vav He, which is one way to translate that word is that it's the word to be in the past, present, and future squished together into one word. So you could say all of being. Yud He Vav He, Shema Yisrael, Yud He Vav He, Eloheinu, this plural word that means our gods. Yud He Vav He, Echad, is one. Echad is one. So, listen up, Israel. All of being is our gods. This plural form. All of being is one. So this thing that looks like it's plural, that looks like it's many things, it's not really many things. It's really all one thing. Just like that meme of the picture of the earth and it says, we are one, right? everything is all one united whole. So that's true of God, and it's also true of humankind. So that's my little Dvar Torah to go together with our learning of Hebrew today. And I hope that that was helpful. Give me any feedback, and we'll look into some more texts coming soon.